Okay, so when big news breaks, especially something about, air travel safety, it hits differently, right? You get this mix of concern, but also you really want to understand what actually happened. What's the real story? So today we're doing a deep dive into two pretty significant air incidents in India recently. They've definitely put aviation safety right back in the spotlight. Our plan here is to basically cut through all the noise. We've got the reports, the summaries you sent over, and we want to pull out the key bits of info for you.
Yeah. The goal is really to help you get up to speed quickly on these complex events, get some clarity without feeling like you're drowning in details.
And what's really quite striking, I think, is how these two incidents, they're both incredibly tragic, of course, but they show such different sides of the challenges in aviation. You've got, a major commercial flight issue on one hand, and then regional operations on the other. So we'll look closely at the Air India Boeing 787 crash in Ahmedabad first, and then we'll switch over to that helicopter crash in Uttarakhand. We'll dig into each one, and then maybe try and, connect the dots a bit, see what larger questions pop up about safety, about regulation in India.
Right. Okay, let's dive into that first one then.
Uh-huh.
The Air India Flight AI171 crash. That was the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, June 12th, 2025. And this wasn't just, well, it wasn't minor, hugely impactful, and tragically so many fatalities. The flight itself, AI171, a 7878, tail number VTAMB. It was leaving Ahmedabad, heading for London Gatwick. On board, 230 passengers, 12 crew members. Pretty standard long-haul flight setup.
Yeah. But what happened next was anything but standard. The sources describe it as just a rapid, catastrophic failure right after takeoff. It cracked around, 1:38 p.m. local time, Indian Standard Time, and it had only reached maybe 500, 625 feet altitude, barely off the ground. And the cockpit voice recorder, the CVR, one of the black boxes, it picked up the pilot's call, a really chilling, Mayday, Mayday, no power. And that call, it came just about 36 seconds before the actual impact.
Wow. 36 seconds. There's nothing you can do in that time, is there?
Yeah.
And the place it crashed, that tells the story too. It hit a hostel, right? At the VJ Medical College in Ahmedabad, the Meghan Nagar area, exploded on impact. So you're not just talking about the plane itself, but a significant ground impact too.
It's exactly. A terrible scene. And the casualties, the numbers are just staggering. Out of the 242 people on the plane, 241 died. But then, tragically, you also had at least 38 people killed on the ground in the hostel. So the total death toll is around 279 people. Just devastating. The good news, if you can call it that, was finding the recorders quickly, both the CVR and the FDR, the flight data recorder. You got those within days. And the initial signs, they're pointing towards, possible engine failure or some kind of major mechanical issue. Obviously, a full formal investigation is going full steam ahead now.
And amidst all that loss, there was this one detail that really jumped out from the reports. A single survivor from the plane, a British national, Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who's apparently in exit row 11A, survived with just minor injuries. It sounds almost unbelievable. Did the reports give any clue how? Or why him specifically?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's definitely something the investigators are looking at very closely. Often in these rare survival cases, it's a whole combination of things. Where they were sitting, the exact forces in that part of the plane during the crash sequence, sometimes just sheer unbelievable luck. But you're right, for a modern plane like the 787, known for all its advanced systems, backup power, to have such a complete rapid power loss right after takeoff, that is extremely unusual, deeply concerning. Which is exactly why they're going over that CVR and FDR data with a fine-tooth comb. Every single bit of data matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reaction from the airline, Air India and Tata Group, the parent company, they immediately started extra safety checks on their other Dreamliners, right? So they have, 33 others?
That's right. Enhanced checks across the fleet.
And then there's the human side beyond the investigation. Reports mention British families feeling unsupported by the UK authorities.
Yes, some criticism there about the handling and communication, which often happens in these international tragedies.
And locally, the Indian Medical Association holding tributes because doctors and students were killed in that hostel. 10 of them.
Right. It highlights just how deeply this impacted the local community there, beyond just the passengers and crew.
Okay, so that's the Air India crash. Now let's shift gears because just a few days later, June 15th, there was another crash, but very different circumstances.
Exactly, very different. This involved a helicopter operated by a company called Air Aviation, and it points to a different set of risks. This is about regional operations, particularly in difficult terrain. This helicopter had 7 people on board, including 2 young girls. And it crashed near Gaurikund in Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand. Okay, so that's mountainous region, right?
Yeah.
The Himalayas. And the sources mentioned this was during operations for the Jardam Yantra. For listeners maybe not familiar, that's a major pilgrimage route. Flying helicopters there must be. Well, tricky.
Oh, incredibly tricky. That's a really key point. The Chardam Yatra area, it's known for its high mountains, obviously, but also really unpredictable, rapidly changing weather. You can get sudden fog, cloud building up in the valleys, strong wind shear. Conditions can go from clear to zero visibility very, very quickly. So flying helicopters there, it's inherently complex. It needs highly specialized pilot skills, yes, but also really good localized weather forecasting, which isn't always easy to get in remote mountain areas compared to, say, major airports. And tragically, in this case, all 7 people on the helicopter were killed, and also 1 person on the ground.
So unlike the Air India crash, where the focus seems to be on potential mechanical failure, here, the suspected cause, straight from the sources, it sounds like it was the environment. Poor visibility, bad weather.
Yeah, that seems to be the strong suspicion based on the initial findings. It really highlights the environmental hazards of that kind of operation.
So what did the authorities do in response to this one?
Well, they acted very quickly. Air India Aviation's regional helicopter services were immediately suspended. But it goes beyond just grounding them. They've launched a full safety review. They'll be looking specifically at, their maintenance record, sure, but also, crucially, their pilot training and operating procedures specifically for mountain flying. Because flying in mountains like that, it demands really different protocols than flying, a passenger jet between cities. This crash really puts a spotlight on whether those specific protocols are tough enough for that unique, challenging environment.
Right. So when you put these 2 tragedies side by side, it's quite stark, isn't it? You've got this super modern, sophisticated Boeing 787 having a catastrophic failure near a major city airport. And then just days later, a regional helicopter, apparently overwhelmed by weather conditions way up in the mountains. Very different incidents, but happening so close together in India. What does that tell us?
Well, I think what's consistent, maybe the main takeaway, is the intense focus it immediately throws onto aviation safety across the board in India, right across the spectrum. These incidents, as the report showed, they've triggered serious investigations and regulatory reviews. It's not just about checking maintenance on big commercial jets now. It's also looking hard at the specific challenges like weather and terrain for those vital regional and mountain operations. And it's worth remembering that Air India crash. It was the deadliest ever involving a Boeing 787, and the first time a 787 was a complete hull loss, meaning the plane was destroyed. That adds another layer of significance globally, not just for India. So yeah, both incidents raise urgent questions, absolutely, but they're raising them in quite different parts of the aviation world. It forces a kind of system-wide look at safety as India's air travel continues to grow so fast.
So thinking about all this, what really stands out to you? For me, I guess it just shows how complex this whole aviation safety thing is. It's not just one single factor, is it? It's a plane, yes, but it's also maintenance, the rules, the training, the weather, the environment.
Yeah.
This whole intricate web.
Absolutely. It's a system. And these terrible events, they're unfortunately often the catalysts for really examining that system, for finding weaknesses and hopefully strengthening the safety protocols. The key question isn't just, what exactly failed on that 787 or what was the